Good evening and welcome to another episode of Learning Theories and Technology Integration in K-12 schools, the past, the present, and the future. This week's guest host is the famous educational psychologist Howard Gardner. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Howard Gardner, and I am responsible for the multiple intelligences theories. In 1983, I wrote the book Frames of Mind, The Theory of Multiple Intelligences, where I outlined my theory that there are 8 different natural intelligences by which people learn. I am a professor at Harvard University School of Education. My theory proposes the 8 different intelligences that include logical, linguistic, kinesthetic, spatial, musical, interpersonal, intrapersonal, and naturalist. It is possible to possess strengths in more than one area. Traditionally, students are assessed with paper-pencil tests. While this works great for some linguistic and logical learners, it causes students with other strengths to falter. Since I wrote my first book back in 1983, technology use in schools has grown exponentially. The use of technology in the classroom allows educators to easily differentiate for all types of learners. Every child thinks in a different way, and the key to success for students is to let them show mastery through their strengths. For instance, some students are masters at spatial and visual works. This means that while they may not be able to pass the traditional multiple choice test over the water cycle, they can create a visual that shows they have mastery understanding of the material. Tonight, I will address a few questions about how technology supports my theory and why schools should begin catering to multiple intelligences with the use of technology. All of the students attend the same school and have one-to-one MacBook technology. Question 1 comes from Terry Trebleclef. She writes, "My daughter Lyric is very musically talented, which is one of your 8 intelligences. How would you suggest her math teacher use technology to assess her knowledge of adding mixed numbers while catering to her musical intelligence?" Mrs. Trebleclef has a great question. In the past, Lyric would have been forced to take a paper-pencil test to show her mastery of the math concept. Since math is not her strongest intelligence, she might not have been able to convey her full understanding. Lyric's teacher should take advantage of the school's MacBooks and allow Lyric to write a song or a rap about the process and then make a music video. By writing the steps in a song, Lyric's teacher will be able to assess if Lyric knows the correct procedure. Using the MacBooks to record the video will allow the teacher to use the content in the future. On to question 2 that comes from Scotty Sportson. He writes, "My son Kevin is constantly moving. He is a starter on 3 different sports teams. He loves to work on the car with me, and he is a master at building things with Legos. However, he is constantly getting in trouble in history class for not doing his work. I know he knows the material, because when I quiz him on it while he's shooting baskets at home, he gets everything right. How can his teachers assess him another way so that he can show his mastery of the content?" Kevin is a kinesthetic learner for sure. He loves to be moving and working with his hands. In a traditional classroom from the past, he gets bored and is unmotivated in class, thus he does poorly on assessments. At the end of each unit, Kevin could build a small set and then record himself acting out important events from that unit. He could take on the perspective of different historical figures and narrate the scene from their viewpoint. This would demonstrate his understanding of the important events from that unit without making him take a boring test. Kevin can type his script on the MacBook and then use QuickTime to record himself acting out the scenes. Our last question comes from Fiona 5-star. She writes,
"My daughter Megan writes the most beautiful stories and poems. She's only 13, but she writes as if she has been writing professionally for years. She has had 100% in English class for the past 3 years. The problem is she is nearly failing her other courses. Science class is her worst grade. She's very shy and introverted. All of the tests are multiple choice, and the teacher uses in-class clickers. She gets nervous that the other kids know she is taking longer because she is the last one to put up her clicker, so she rushes through the test and doesn't do her best. How can a teacher use another form of assessment or technology so that Megan can be more successful?"
Megan is definitely an intrapersonal linguistic learner. She obviously excels at writing and likes her privacy. I would suggest the teacher allow Megan to use her MacBook to blog about the content. This would allow Megan to write about the concept in depth without her classmates knowing when she finished. Megan could write using many different formats, such as a script for a lecture on a topic, or a story taking on the persona of an object in the subject, such as a raindrop in the water cycle. There's a plethora of other formats she could use. By allowing Megan to write about the topic, the teacher is able to easily see her depth of knowledge on the topic, perhaps even more effectively than a traditional test. It is great that the teacher is using the technology of the clickers. However, that technology is not working for all of the learners in the classroom. By integrating technology into their assessments, the teachers of these three students can support each student's individual intelligences and differentiate easily. Each learner's needs are met while mastery of the content is easily displayed. The technology integration in these examples is fairly simple, but can be expanded in the future as the teachers get used to differentiating their assessments. You can find more resources on how to integrate technology into assessments to cater to multiple intelligences at these web pages. Thanks for having me tonight, and I hope to be back soon.